Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gushin Galan and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, I get you the top 40 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. Now moving to the war in Europe. Russia has asked for new peace talks with Ukraine in Istanbul next week. Moscow is planning to present its peace proposal during the talks. However, Ukraine wants to see Russia's terms in advance. This comes after the last-minute meeting in Istanbul failed to make progress. Russia and Ukraine have continued deadly attacks since then. Now moving to West Asia, Israeli airstrikes at Yemen's largest airport in Sanaa. According to Yemen officials, the strikes destroyed the airport's last plane and runway. While Israel said that its fighter jets struck Houthi terror targets and the plane used by them, the strike followed the May 25th Houthi attack on Israel, which triggered air raid sirens in Jerusalem. The families of Hamas-held hostages gathered in Tel Aviv to protest. The Israeli protesters marked 600 days of the war and captivity. Protesters chanted slogans and carried posters and banners of hostages. US President Donald Trump has warned Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu against attacking Iran amid nuclear deal negotiations. Trump added that an agreement with Iran could be reached within the next couple of weeks. He also said that the talks had made a lot of progress. A US trade court has halted the implementation of Donald Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. The court ruled that the president exceeded his authority by imposing sweeping duties. The Trump administration argued the tariffs were justified, warning that overturning them could reignite tensions between India and Pakistan. Officials claim that Trump had used the tariffs as leverage to secure a ceasefire between the two nations, an assertion New Delhi has already rejected. Tesla CEO Elon Musk has officially cut ties with the White House. The billionaire took to his social media platform X to announce his departure. He thanked President Donald Trump for DOGE. The move followed Musk's recent criticism of the Trump administration. NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore have wrapped up recovery. This after the two were stranded in space for 9 months after a glitch in their Starliner delayed their return. The astronauts had to readapt their muscles, sense of balance, and other basic aspects of Earth living over a 45-day readaptation period. In Bolivia, the supporters of former President Evo Morales clashed with riot police during anti-government protests. The demonstrators called for Morales to be allowed to contest the upcoming presidential election in August. The unrest followed a constitutional court ruling that reaffirmed a ban on individuals serving more than 2 presidential terms. Early voting begins in South Korea for the snap presidential election. The citizens will vote to choose a new leader after Yoon Suk-yeol's removal. Early voting will conclude tomorrow while the election is scheduled for June 3rd. 7 people, including children, lost their lives near El Hierro port in Spain's Canary Islands. This as a crowded boat carrying migrants capsized. The tragedy occurred as passengers rushed to one side of the vessel while being escorted by rescuers. In climate news, Manitoba has declared a state of emergency and ordered 17,000 residents to evacuate as wildfires spread across central and western Canada. Evacuees are being moved to shelters in Winnipeg and beyond. The Canadian Armed Forces have been mobilized to assist. A dramatic natural disaster has struck the Swiss village of Blatten, which was almost entirely destroyed after a massive chunk of a nearby glacier collapsed. It unleashed a torrent of ice, mud and rock. Drone footage showed the town buried under debris with only fragments visible. Local authorities had evacuated the village earlier this month due to fears of a rock slide. Officials say about 90% of the village is covered or destroyed. In a first-of-its-kind move in the US, Hawaii has passed a law adding a climate tax on hotel and vacation rental stays. They are aiming to generate nearly $100 million a year for environmental resilience projects. The new law adds 0.75% to the daily room rate tax starting January 1, 2026. This is about $3 extra on a $400 room. The European Union is edging close to its legally binding target of cutting greenhouse gas emissions by 55% by 2030. A new European Commission analysis reveals the bloc is on pace for 54% reduction, thanks to more ambitious national climate policies adopted in recent years. Despite facing backlash from member states over rising energy costs and the economic burden of green regulations, the EU remains committed. The World Meteorological Organization has warned that the planet is on track for more record-breaking heat in the next 5 years. In its latest report, the UN Weather Agency said there's an 80% chance that at least 1 year between now and 2029 will set a new global heat record, likely pushing average temperatures beyond the critical 1.5 degrees Celsius limit set by Paris Agreement. On to some business and tech news. Reacting to a block on Trump's tariffs, Asian shares and Wall Street futures surge. The S&P 500 index is up by nearly 4%, while European stocks see an increase of over 2%, while China's benchmark indexes are nearly flat. The court ruling also rallies the US dollar. A block on Trump's Liberation Day tariffs also impacts the oil prices. Oil rose about $1 per barrel as the markets watch out for potential new US sanctions on Russian crude flows. An OPEC Plus decision on hiking output. Brent crude futures rise 1.6%, while US West Texas Intermediate crude surged by 1.7%. Tesla CEO Elon Musk says Tesla has been testing driverless Model Y cars in Austin. The billionaire adds that the company aims to deliver the first unit in June. The billionaire says that the delivery is a month ahead of what was scheduled since there were no incidents during the tests. Trump administration cancels over $700 million funding to Moderna for the last stage of development of its bird flu vaccine. The company is also stripped of the rights to purchase shots. Biden administration had awarded $590 million to advance the development of its bird flu vaccine, while the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services had awarded $176 million for the development of H5N1 avian influenza. Unemployment in Germany rises to a decade high. The number of unemployed people in Germany reaches 3 million. Labor data shows that the figures increased faster than expected. Foxconn is set to announce a second Japanese auto partner, says its chairman Yang Liu. The announcement marks the company's push for diversification. This comes after Foxconn subsidiary Foxtron Vehicle Technologies signed an agreement with Japan's Mitsubishi Motors for the supply of an electric vehicle model. American model and socialite Hailey Bieber has sold Road Beauty to Elf Cosmetics for $1 billion. The sale of the skincare and makeup empire is happening just 3 years after its launch. However, Hailey will remain the face and force of the brand as the chief creative officer and head of innovation. Road Beauty is known for its lip balms, glossy serums, and glazing milk. The Trump administration orders a broad swathe of companies to stop shipping goods to China without a license. The U.S. authorities reportedly revoked licenses of the suppliers. The products allegedly affected under new restrictions include design software and chemicals for semiconductors, machine tools, and aviation equipment. Nvidia beats quarterly sales expectations, this as the company's customers stockpiled AI chips before the US curbs on exports to China came into effect. The surge in sales led to a 5% rise in Nvidia shares in extended trading. However, the stockpiling would impact the chipmaker's sales in the current quarter. DeepSeek releases an update to its R1 reasoning model. The launch by the Chinese artificial intelligence startup was in a bid to set up competition with US rivals. The company is yet to make an official announcement for the launch of its new update. Moving to sports, we begin with cricket. The much-awaited IPL playoffs are set to begin. The playoffs will open with a clash between Punjab and Bengaluru later today in Chandigarh. Punjab and Bengaluru both ended the league stage matches with 19 points each, but Punjab have an upper hand with a better net return rate. In football, Chelsea won the Europa Conference League finals. The Blues were crowned champions after beating Real Betis 4-1 in the finals. Ahead of the much-awaited final, the fans of two sides engaged in violent clashes. Polish police arrested 28 fans to control the pre-match violence. In tennis, defending French Open champion Carlos Alcaraz entered the third round of the tournament. The men's world number 3 survived a second-round scare from his Hungarian rival Fabian Martozan. The Spaniard finally won the second-round clash 6-1, 4-6, 6-1, 6-2. Men's world number 8 Casper Ruud crashed out of the French Open. The Norwegian star lost his second-round clash to Portugal's Nuno Borges 6-2, 4-6, 1-6, 0-6. Ruud, who twice reached the finals of French Open, was visibly bothered by a problem with his left knee, but played throughout the match. In men's doubles, India's Rohan Bopanna and his Czech partner Adam Pavlasek advanced to the second round of the French Open. In the opening clash, the duo beat American pair comprising of Robert Cash and James Tracy 7-6, 5-7, 6-1. In yet another good news for Indian contingent in the French Open, India's Yuki Bhamri, along with his American partner Robert Galloway, entered the second round of the tournament. The Indo-American pair beat a German-Dutch duo 6-3, 6-7, 6-3 in the opening round. In badminton, star Indian men's doubles pair Satvik Sairaj, Janaki Reddy and Chirag Shetty advanced to the Singapore Open quarterfinals. The Indians made a comeback after losing their first game to their last 16 clash against an Indonesian pair, following which the duo won the match with a final score of 19-21, 21-16, 21-19. In women's singles, star Indian shuttler PV Sindhu faced another setback. The two-time Olympic medalist crashed out of Singapore Open after losing her round of 16 clash. Sindhu lost to China's Yu Fi Chen 21-9, 18-21, 21-16. Meanwhile, in men's single at Singapore Open, star Indian shuttler HS Pranoy also crashed out of the tournament. The 32-year-old lost to Frenchman Christo Popov in the straight sets in the pre-quarterfinals. Berlin has formally presented its bid to re-host the Olympics in 2036. The German capital has expressed its intention to host the Olympics in 2040 or 2024 as well, without alluding to a preference if they can't get the 2036 edition. And finally, in entertainment news, British authorities have formally filed a slate of serious charges against controversial social media personality Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan. The Crown Prosecution Service announced this week that the duo now face 21 criminal charges, including rape, human trafficking and assault. Andrew is facing 10 charges involving 3 alleged victims, while Tristan faces 11 charges linked to 1 alleged victim. Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing federal sex trafficking trial took a darker turn with new testimony from she is the former stylist and friend of singer Cassie. Nash testified that Combs allegedly pressured Cassie into drug-fueled sex marathons, sometimes on her birthdays, despite her pleas to opt out. According to Nash, Cassie confided in him multiple times between 2007 and 2018 about not wanting to participate in these so-called freak-offs. K-pop juggernaut 17 is preparing for a new chapter as most of its 13-member begins their mandatory military service in South Korea. But fans needn't worry. The group has no plans to go on hiatus. The band revealed in an interview that they have coordinated with their label Hype to keep momentum going through solo releases, subunit projects and long-term planning. The American Music Awards returned in grand fashion on CBS, drawing 4.86 million viewers. It's a 38% increase from the last live in 2022. The show aired from Las Vegas and signaled a strong comeback for the long-running Music Awards franchise. And in a major shake-up at Electronic Arts, the long-anticipated Black Panther video game has been officially cancelled. The decision follows EA's move to shutter Cliffhanger Games, the studio behind the project. The closure has led to layoffs at both Cliffhanger and other EA teams, although the company says it is trying to reassign staff where possible. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gushin Galan and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.